Hello everyone. Today I'm in Westminster, Maryland, and I'm in a very interesting and historical cemetery here. This is the Ellsworth Cemetery. Now it has a very interesting story to it. It may be a small cemetery, but this is an African American cemetery. It was founded in 1876 by 6 former Union African American soldiers. They wanted to ensure that there would be a place for burials for African Americans in the community. See, in that time period in Westminster, there's a big cemetery just off Main Street, but there was a law in place that prohibited African Americans from being buried in the city limits of Westminster. So this cemetery was founded, and it went into disrepair over the years. It was kind of lost and forgotten about. In 2013, it was said that the grass was over 4 feet tall, and there were really no headstones that were visible. The Knights of Columbus in this area decided to clean up the cemetery, try to preserve it. And it's been a long process, but they have done a great job so far. They have essentially discovered everywhere that there is a burial. If you see these metal cross in the ground, this represents a spot where they have found someone buried. Using ground penetrated radar, they have been able to map out the whole area. Now their goal ultimately is to have a headstone at every grave. Most of these graves have been lost. Some have been vandalized in the past as the cemetery started to go into disrepair. But today the cemetery is clean, and it even has burials again. I'm not sure if it's just people who have ancestors buried here, but there are burials again. As you can see right here, here's a newer grave, and over here there's a newer grave. So this cemetery has new burials added. Now, there are 26 veterans buried here. That includes from the Civil War, World War I, and World War II. Now, the VA department will actually give the cemetery a free grave for any veteran that can be found. That's a fact for any veteran in the United States. The VA will give them a free headstone. Not just in the United States, but anywhere in the world that a U.S. veteran is buried, the VA will provide a free grave. So I'm going to walk around a little bit and just take you guys along with me. So welcome to the Ellsworth Cemetery in Westminster, Maryland. This is my first time visiting this cemetery, so I'd never seen this cemetery back before it was essentially restored. But you see so many cemeteries throughout the United States that fall into disrepair and are essentially forgotten about. And it's just such a feel-good story to know that this cemetery was saved. You know, I don't want anyone to be forgotten about. And I think a cemetery is a place where you deserve to be remembered. And the people who have restored the cemetery have done great work and dedicated great time to make sure every human who is here, every person who was buried here, is remembered and honored for their lives. And I think that's all any of us really want when it comes down to it at the end of our lives. And I never knew this cemetery was here, actually. I just found out about it last night, and I said this would be the perfect story. You just come here and look around and document it. Any grave that has a flag is a veteran. Even some of the unmarked graves have flags, so that must mean that they figured out who they are. They're just waiting to get their graves. Obviously, I said earlier, the VA will provide graves for any United States veteran. So there are some unmarked graves that have flags at it, so they must have been able to identify them as veterans. As you can see, here's a grave. This looks like a newer grave that was placed here, so this was probably an unmarked grave. a World War I veteran, Harvey Gibson. And then right next to him is another grave. This is a Civil War veteran, and this is William Adams. Here's another Civil War veteran, Alan Franklin. As you look out here, you can see there's a Wawa and stores, and stores over there, and the road out there. But I can just imagine what it was like back here, you know, in the late 1870s. It was probably all just farmland out here, forest and farmland. And this small little cemetery was here. As you can see over in that direction, there still is farmland. There was a little thing with some pamphlets in it up front. So here's some information. I did go to their website, and it appears that they are in the process of updating their website. So right now it doesn't seem that like you can donate, but once the website gets updated, you should be able to donate again. If any of you enjoy seeing cemeteries be restored and you want to donate, I will leave a link to their current website in the description below. Ultimately, what they're trying to do is they're trying to replace graves like this, and they're also trying to put graves in every location where there is no grave, but we know there's a burial. Now this is the grave of John Cole. Now John Cole is actually featured in this pamphlet I have here. If I can get the lighting right, I want to show you a good... There you go. This is John Cole, who's buried right here. Now John Cole, he served in the 4th Colored U.S. Infantry, and they were in the Battle of Petersburg, the Dutch Gap Canal, and the Carolinas campaign. So it's very cool to be able to put a picture to this grave right here. And John Cole was actually wounded, it says, 4 times during various battles. Obviously he survived the war and lived until 1921. It appears this is a new grave, so it looks like he didn't have a grave here, or it was really damaged. So it's nice to see this clean grave here, and others can come and visit the grave of John Cole and honor him for his sacrifices in the war, the Civil War. Another thing to note, the pamphlet I have actually says that it is known that at least 4 of the Civil War veterans were enslaved prior to the war. So they served, got their freedom. Obviously slavery came to an end. And it appears that many of the Civil War soldiers that are buried here are from all over the country. They seem to have settled in this area later in life. And again, like I said, it's crazy to think that the cemetery was essentially lost. And it's just really nice to see all the work that was put in to honor every single one of these men and the other people who are buried here in this cemetery. Now, I can't confirm it other than the last name right here. I can't read anything else really on this grave, but I believe this is the grave of Reverend John Baptist Snowden. Now, Reverend John Baptist Snowden was born enslaved in 1801, and he became a minister and then bought his own freedom. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I will leave a link in the description of this video that will lead you to the website for the cemetery if you want to read more about it. Thanks for coming along with me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this interesting video here today. Until next time, this is Fixed Image. Same peace.